Good morning. Happy Thursday? Is today Thursday? Time flies when you're having fun. I've had hearings every day this week and I have a hearing tomorrow. I just don't have a hearing today. It's been a very busy week for Johnny Bear. Anyway, yesterday was the date when there should have been the plea in Rusty Moore. However, on the 16th, his defense counsel said that before they settle, they want to do an evidentiary hearing on their motion to dismiss. So they want a little like mini trial on the motion to dismiss that they filed back in April. So I don't know when that's going to get set for. I'm assuming that if Rusty Moore loses that motion to dismiss, then he's going to take the plea. But anyway, he didn't take the plea. At least not yet. So, Johnny Bear was wrong. I thought he'd be signing that plea deal, but apparently you guys have given him enough money that he could pay his defense attorney to have an evidentiary hearing. So good luck to you, Rusty Moore. Good luck to you, buddy. I'm not against Rusty Moore on this. I just want to be clear. I just have looked at the facts and I'm like, good luck, buddy. So you know what? Maybe Rusty's going to actually have what we like to call an expert to testify on his behalf. Maybe he'll actually produce what we like to call the actual prescription. This time, maybe he'll do all the things that he should have done at the implied consent hearing. Or maybe his attorney will, I should say. I don't want to blame Rusty Moore for this. It's his attorney's fault. His attorney screwed up. His attorney shit the bed on the implied consent hearing. But anyway, I'm not saying he doesn't have a shot at it. The implied consent hearing is a different, my understanding is the implied consent hearing is a different burden of proof, a different level of proof that's required. I think it goes on preponderance of the evidence, where in criminal matters, the prosecution has to prove things beyond a reasonable doubt. So it's a completely different standard. So just because Rusty didn't carry his burden in the implied consent hearing by preponderance of the evidence does not mean that the state will carry their burden of proof in the evidentiary hearing beyond a reasonable doubt. So none of these issues are conclusive. None of the issues in the implied consent hearing are conclusive to the criminal case. My understanding, I'm not a Minnesota attorney, so take this with a grain of salt. This is just general understanding of how the law works in the U.S. But it's a completely different thing. It's not conclusive as to the criminal case. The implied consent hearing is not conclusive as to the criminal case. So there's that. Two other things. Number one, in DeCastro versus Abrams, round 2, fight! A very interesting turn of events that happened recently, maybe a couple weeks ago now. I don't really remember. I don't clock these things. But Abrams' attorney moved to have the case transferred from the new judge to the prior judge. Remember, DeCastro shit the bed all over the place in his first lawsuit against Abrams and Peter. And he initially filed a motion for defamation, etc., or a lawsuit for defamation, and then he amended to make it about copyright issues, and he shit the bed all over the place. Well, he's going to continue shitting the bed, I'm assuming. I think he's using like ChatGPT to write his stuff, and that's fine if you know what you're doing, but as we have learned, to no surprise, DeCastro doesn't know what he's doing. But his ChatGPT, he tried to fight the motion to have it transferred to the prior judge. He lost that motion. So now a judge who's familiar with the case is going to see this through not fresh eyes, but through eyes that are familiar with this case. So that's not good news for DeCastro versus Abrams, for DeCastro in DeCastro versus Abrams at all, but it is good news for Abrams at all. So I strongly suspect that this new lawsuit is going to go down the same failed rabbit holes as the old lawsuit did. I remember Abrams' attorney was very workmanlike. He did a good job. Nothing spectacular, but he did a good job It didn't look like he wasted a lot of his client's resources doing frivolous stuff. I mean, Peter, her attorney, Kate Peter, her attorney was just crap. Like, that gal, I think it was a team. But anyway, that attorney just sucked all the money out of the attorney-client trust account, and really didn't produce results. The results were produced by Abrams' attorney. So yeah, there's that. Another thing is, I had a criminal case settle recently out of Humboldt, and the client in that case gave a statement to the police. It was a hit and run case where someone died. So it was a wobbler. It could have been felony. It could have been misdemeanor. But one of the things that really didn't help the client was the client actually talked to the police the night of the incident in his hotel room, and like, that was all bad. Like, that was just all bad. I worked on the case. I didn't negotiate the settlement. Another attorney negotiated the settlement, got a really good deal for him, the plea. So the guy isn't going to do any time. He's not going to be doing any time in prison. He's got a bunch of community service, and he's on probation for like a year, but he's not getting any jail time, which is a really good outcome. When you kill somebody, it's a really good outcome. So anyway, I've been watching a bunch of videos on YouTube about police interrogations, and one of the things that has just consistently struck me, well, number one, I just want to remind everybody that the interviews that they show are generally interviews where the person who's being interviewed gets convicted. So, like, oh, here's where the killer screwed up, right? Well, I'm going to tell you the point where every single one of them screws up. When they don't say, I want to leave, and if they're not allowed to leave, say, I want an attorney. I will not answer questions without an attorney present. That shuts everything down. And if the cops persist and, you don't stick to your guns and say, no, I want an attorney. If I can't leave, I want an attorney. I want an attorney. I want an attorney. I'm not going to answer any questions until I have an attorney. I want an attorney. You got to make that record, because if they don't provide you with an attorney, then there is a good likelihood that anything you say will be suppressed. And anything that the cops find as a result of what you say, there's a good chance that also will be suppressed, meaning it can't be used against you at the trial. So every single time where they screw up is they talk to the police. They don't say, I'm going to exercise my Fifth Amendment right, and I'm going to exercise my right to an attorney. I want an attorney. I want an attorney. If I can't leave, I want an attorney. If I can leave, I'm leaving. If I can't leave, I want an attorney. And you're going to say, well, John, why are you doing this? Because this is how the police find the bad guy sometimes. Well, I don't represent the state. I don't represent the prosecution. But every time I've been involved in a criminal matter, I've represented a defendant. And every time they've talked to the police, it's been a problem. Every time. Every time it's made my job more difficult. Now, I don't have an extensive portfolio of criminal cases I've done work on, but in every single case where someone has talked to the police, it has been a problem. If you're not free to go, say, I want to exercise my right to remain silent, and I want an attorney. Just, those are the only two things you say. My right to remain silent and an attorney. I want to exercise my right to remain silent, and I want an attorney. Right to remain silent, I want an attorney. Right to remain silent, I want an attorney. It will help anybody you hire, whether you did it or not. It'll help your attorney get you at least a reduced sentence, if not acquitted. So please, for the love of God, if there's one thing ever that I can teach you on this channel, is don't talk to the police. If they call you down for questioning, heads up, you're a suspect. Don't say anything to the police, because you're a suspect. Whether you did it or not, you're a suspect. Innocent people get convicted all the time. Something like 10% of convictions are innocent people. Don't talk to the police. I want to remain silent, and I want my attorney. I'm not going to waive my rights. I'm not going to sign anything. I want an attorney. I want an attorney. And what your attorney is going to tell you is you're not going to talk to the police. And if you didn't do it, and if you do want to help the police, tell your attorney, hey, I want to help the police. Your attorney's going to say, how about you shut the fuck up? But if you don't want to do that, then what you can do is you can have the police write to you their questions. You can sit down with your attorney and draft answers to those questions so that your attorney can make sure that your statement is consistent, that there's no holes in it. And then you could have your attorney send that back to the police. But that way your attorney is making sure that you're not saying some stupid shit, that you're not just going off the cuff and saying the wrong dates or the wrong times or the wrong whatever. But just please, for the love of God, don't talk to the police. Don't talk to the police. That is always the problem. Every single one of the police interviews I watched, talking to the police was the problem. I've seen some where the I'm going to say the person who did it, because the few that I've watched where the person didn't talk to the police, they ended up getting convicted anyway. And, you can't control for that. Like, sometimes you're going to get convicted. Sometimes the police are going to have enough evidence on their own that they don't need your testimony, that they don't need you to say incriminating things. But the whole point of a police interview is to get you convicted. And they can't hold it against you that you exercise your rights. It'll go better for you. It'll go better for you if you talk to us. It'll go better for you if you help us out. No, it won't. It will not. It will not. Unless you've worked out a deal with the prosecutor, not the police, but the prosecutor, it won't. If you work out a deal with the prosecutor where they say if you confess, then I'll give you X, Y, or Z, then sure. But the police don't have that power. The police can't bargain for it. And the prosecutor doesn't give a flying fuck if you were cooperative with the police. Haven't seen it. I mean, maybe somewhere out there's some prosecutor who did it. I've never seen it. Oh, you were helpful and you confessed to the police? Awesome. That just makes the prosecutor's case that much better, that much easier, and they're gonna drill the hole in deeper. So, don't talk to the police. You have the right to remain silent. Well, first of all, if you can leave, leave. If you can't leave, you have the right to remain silent. Use it. You have the right to an attorney. Use it. Please, don't sign anything. Don't give any statements. Don't engage in anything. Shut your fucking mouth and get an attorney. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.